Thank you. Thank you all. That was pretty impressive. So, I think, what I find exciting about FutureLink and exciting about this time around is that it's grown by more than 50%, and every year we seem to grow it by about 30, 40%, but it's taken a real step up this year. And one of the most exciting parts about FutureLink is that I want it to be a single place where the full end-to-end supply chain meet. And I think part of what was not listed there was the diversity of the number of attendees here so far. You got contract manufacturers, you got 3PLs, you got pharmaceutical companies, some wholesalers, some hospitals and pharmacies. But our real vision is that it's fully end-to-end, that we have every constituency in the supply chain in the room. And this becomes the one place where you can meet everybody end-to-end in the supply chain, because our whole goal here is to integrate everybody end-to-end. And the FutureLink becomes the place where you meet and you collaborate and you develop together and you partner together to digitalize the end-to-end supply chain. And that's really what we see as the clear value here. And thank you all for making the effort to come here. Now, last year was a little different. I think you will all admit there was a lot of tension in the room because EUFMD had not yet arrived, and I believe it was around the same time period of June. And if my statistics were correct, I'd say close to 60% of you hadn't yet gone live, right? And probably that might be a little bit, conservative on my part. It might be close to 70%. And since that time period, we had to go work incredibly hard together in order for everyone to go live. And that's been the real beauty of what we've done, and the beauty of the challenge as well, and the beauty of the results of what we've done, right? Because never before has the supply chain had to integrate any part to actually work together to deliver the serialized products from an end-to-end basis. And to work between contract manufacturers, pharmaceutical companies, 3PLs, wholesalers, pharmacies to actually realize the vision of the EUFMD law and the US law, which occurred concurrently at the same time, about 3 months apart. And I would have to say that, congratulations. You guys did a fantastic job. And the beauty, like I said, is that you did a fantastic job in getting so many companies live, your partners live, yourself live, and working together. And many of you don't even realize it, but you helped each other without even knowing it. Because if you helped a CMO go live, that CMO then became available for everybody else on the network to go live even faster. And I want to kind of illustrate to you some of the points here of really the power of the network and the power of working together, and how we can leverage that power of working together on an ongoing basis. Because this is just the beginning. This is not the end. This is not the middle road. This is absolute beginning of our journey ahead. So this is the graph of the number of serial numbers that have been commissioned. So as you see here, we kind of start a little bit low, a few companies that were live, moving forward in the 2014 time period. And then what you see is that this huge hockey stick going up, right? That hockey stick started sometime in the February time period, believe it or not. So we did our first billion serial numbers in the November time period, and that took us approximately 9 years to get there. Then we did the next billion in Q1 alone. So, and that really started in full force in the February time period, which is the UFMD go live date, obviously. And we took hundreds of companies live, thousands of connections live in an incredibly short period of time. That short period of time is within 8 weeks, roughly. And then since then, we continue to serialize at a massive rate to the point where in Q2, we anticipate doing nearly 2 billion serial numbers commissioned in the quarter alone. We're currently between April and May, we're at about 1.3 billion. And so we'll get to either 1.8 to 2 billion serial numbers just in Q2 alone. And we also recognize that about 40% of the integrations with the CMOs and products going live are still left to be done. And we also estimate that probably about another 30% of the pharmaceutical companies have yet to make a decision because they have, basically grandfathered product in. So this is a testament to the work everyone had to do together in order to accomplish this, because obviously TraceLink was a part of this journey. We believe that this journey could not have occurred without the people and technology and processes that we put in place, but that required everyone's collaboration to make that happen. And that's not illustrated any better than the actual growth of the network itself. So if you look at it here, these are the growth of the number of network connections that we implemented. So as you all know, as hopefully everybody knows now, that you integrate once into the TraceLink network and you can interoperate with everybody, and each of those connections don't have to be point-to-point connections anymore. They can just be configurations that we put in. And there were times where we were doing 50 to 100 go-lives a day. Just imagine that, 50 to 100 go-lives a day. And I know each of you saw it from your own kind of microcosm of each one, but you had dozens of people working simultaneously to get everybody else live at the same time. And again, this is all of us working together to make this happen. And it was a phenomenal accomplishment. And I'd like to give each of you a round of applause, and I'd like you to stand up and thank each other, because you don't realize it, but you really were helped each other, either as a partner or as a service provider, etc. So thank you very much. And what I want to talk about is really how do we continue to grow the power of the network? Because what we have built here is a core infrastructure, a core capability that we can build upon for massive value, greater value than has ever occurred in any supply chain in the world. And we have that opportunity in front of us. And I wanted to illustrate to you what is our strategy to work with you in order to drive this growth for the industry together. Because I know that compliance has come at a heavy price, right? It's at a heavy toll, both financially, because it's been a significant investment there. It's been a heavy toll as well with the perspective of the changes to your operations and other investments you've had to make, exceptions you've had to deal with that you hadn't had to deal with in the past. But the goal here is how do you leverage all that into even greater and greater value as we move forward. And so what we've built enables us to do that, but we have to, TraceLink has to also continue to invest in order to enable you to basically achieve those benefits and gains. And we have been investing very significantly in order for you to achieve that, and we want to talk to you a little bit about that as well. But I want to first step back and kind of explain once again why we did what we did the way we did it, right? So when we arrived on the scene back in 2009, the rage of the day, probably still the rage of today, is, hey, we really believe in towers. We believe in towers and hubs, and everybody will integrate into us. And that was a very self-centered point of view, that every company would stand up its own tower, stand up its own ecosystem, and then everybody had to work on their basis. So, and many companies would basically say that, well, it's no big deal. I'm the largest company in the world, and everybody has to be subservient to me because of the fact that, they have to, if they want to do business with me, this is how they have to do business with me. And it just doesn't work. The world doesn't work that way. Because of the fact that the costs are too high, it is far too inefficient to actually achieve that. And not every partner you work with, you are their biggest customer or partner. And in our goal was to really democratize all that and do that in a manner that everyone can work the way they want, but still work together in a very efficient manner. And so, and on top of that, be able to drive it such that the hub and spoke model only kind of gave you visibility into your 1 degree of separation. And 95% of the supply chain is beyond you, is beyond your immediate CMOs, your immediate 3PLs, your immediate customers. It's up to your ingredient supply. It's down to the patient. and many of you are disconnected from all of them. And so the combination of those two things was that, we really wanted to enable everyone to work together more effectively and efficiently, irrespective of their size, irrespective of their, their financial capabilities, irrespective of their technical capabilities, and also have them work together beyond themselves, beyond their immediate partners, to the actual people that handle their products, eventually even down to the patient and all the way back to the ingredient supplier. And that's what drove us towards this network model. And we drove towards that ability to say, look, we can create a single network that can integrate everybody end to end, and we can share information for the greater good. And so that drove us to this model, the model of integrate once, create a single network, create a single capability, a single platform into which you can all integrate however you see fit, and you all have very various business processes that we've all learned, sometimes through some hard lessons there between like virtual wholesalers and virtual manufacturers and virtual 3PLs, all this other capabilities. But what we really wanted to have the ability to do was say, let's get everybody on a single network and let them interoperate with each other and let them share information irrespective of their immediate relationships that they have right now. And so that's how we drove our technology architecture, our decisions and so forth to build up this network. And you see the effect of it. So when I talked earlier about the fact that we got all these CMOs live, you see here this, kind of that other graph broken up into two different sections. The first section here in the yellow is really the individual CMOs that are connecting in once, right? So they connect in once as a CMO, but you see the blue dots there, that is all the integrations into those CMOs. And you see that massive growth there in the last 2 to 3 quarters of us being able to leverage this baseline of an independent CMO connecting, and then all the integrations across all of them to all the different pharma companies happening on top of that at a much more efficient level. And that has saved the industry over $4 to $5 billion. That if we hadn't done that, and if we had tried to do point-to-point, first of all, I'm not sure it would have been achievable, but at the cost to do that would have been somewhere between $4 to $5 billion extra dollars. And obviously, we don't charge you that much, so that's all savings for the industry, to achieve track and trace. And the same level of savings can occur for any business process. It's not limited to just track and trace. It's not limited to just serialization. And we're going to talk about that in a few slides. So really, the question really comes down to is, okay, now we've made this investment. We've created this network. We've digitalized track and trace. And it's a business process, what we term an ecosystem, that we have digitalized together. And how do we leverage that? How do we turn that into something that is a value engine? An engine that can generate more and more value at a faster and faster rate. And so at TraceLink, we started thinking about this actually 3-4 years ago. And we started to think about how is it that we can actually generate that value. We started investing 3-4 years ago, and we started to expand on that investment at a very rapid rate in the last 18 months. And I've been personally spending actually most of my time with the team on it in the last 9 months. And so the investments we realized is that as you look across all the different business areas that you work in within your industry, and you look at whether it's in the sales area, right? You go to sales, and they have a platform, right? Whether it's Salesforce, another platform, it's a platform that enables them to digitalize their processes. You go to marketing, they have a platform. They have a platform to digitalize their processes. Supply chain lacks that platform. We were deceived into believing ERP would provide that, but ERP is fundamentally flawed in that it doesn't take into account that supply chains are a network operation. They're not a me operation, they're an us operation. And so therefore, you had to have a platform that inherently understood the network, understood that we need to all work together in order to have a digital capability for the supply chain. And so what we decided to do was really invest into a core platform on top of the network. and what we term as the TraceLink Digital Network Platform. And we decided, to invest in the newest technology. So when we started 10 years ago, we were quite brave, cavalier, some thought foolish, that we adopted the cloud. So everyone think back to 2009, and every account we went to, we said we're using Amazon. They said the bookstore. And we said no, AWS. And so we kind of led out there. We also adopted an architecture that was not your traditional kind of ERP architecture. We adopted a distributed architecture. We adopted things like NoSQL. That's what enables us to manage 80 billion serial numbers that have been, basically reserved at this point. Enable us to do hundreds of millions of serial numbers commissioned, terabytes of data a week that we're actually generating and storing for you. Because we can do that because we're architected at the core, starting in 2009, more like Facebook than we are like SAP. And that was a key differentiator for us, because that enabled us to actually have at the core a capability that could scale to internet scale, not to enterprise scale. And so as we're now investing in the new platform, we're investing in it with all the new technologies of today, that like we did 10 years ago. And those technologies start from the core going all the way up to the top, from basically technologies that you find from Google, from Facebook, from Netflix, that enable us to build the next generation platform that enables everyone else to build applications on the platform. Such that so what we're creating is an ecosystem that enables not just ourselves to build applications, enables customers to build applications, enables partners to build applications. And those applications create new opportunities for digitalization. And so that's the strategy we took, and we've invested very heavily into it. Today, it's over 50 engineers, just to let you know. We're spending somewhere in the order of $20 million a year. That investment will expand to somewhere between $30 to $40 million a year in the next 12 to 18 months, to the point where we will most likely have everybody in the company working against that platform and migrating all our core capabilities to that platform and integrating with our current network within the next 12 months. So that's the aggressive path we've taken. And what that enables us to do is really massively increase the aperture for digitalization for the industry. So I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about how we think about it. So if you think about it from a historic perspective, we started back in 2014, 13-14 time period, with the US law, with DSCSA. That was our first foray into digitalization with a product called Product Track. And what that did was provided the ability for ASNs, a single transaction, to be basically digitalized on an end-to-end basis from the pharmaceutical companies down to the dispensers and hospitals in the US. That enabled us to gain over 200,000 entities at the end, the digitalization of the ASNs all the way to the supply chain. Then we incorporated US serialization, and then after that, EU serialization. That enabled us to digitalize upstream, up to the CMOs, down with serial numbers into the pharmaceutical companies and into the 3PLs. And at each time, what we're doing is we're creating a new ecosystem. Each application creates a new, what we term a business process ecosystem, and that then enables us to constantly add more and more value to the network and more and more value to our customer base and to each other. And so as we look beyond that, what we're looking at doing is basically opening up the aperture to create these applications. So as you create more and more applications on the platform, it enables more value, enables more digitalization, creates more ecosystems that you can participate in. So as you are on the network and you determine that you want to, either ourselves, we'll provide an application, a partner will provide an application, or you want to build an application that will then enable you to digitalize an aspect of your business process on the network, you can do so leveraging what we term as the digital network platform. So as part of that digital network platform, there is what we term as a TraceLink development environment that enables you to build applications, just like you see as you know, SNX and SOM and all those applications. We can build them, you can build them, third parties can build them, And we'll have a level of governance to make sure we're all interoperable on that. And what that does is enables us to create these capabilities at a much faster rate, provide more control. We'll also have the ability for not just those applications to be built, but the experiences, the user experiences around those applications to also be customized at the customer level as well. So you can create the UIs that you see best fit for the personas within your company, such that a shipping person can have one user experience, whereas a compliance person can have a second one, a planner can have a third one. And those experiences can be pulled together from all the different application UIs that are out there. And so this will completely expand the universe of both the capabilities and the usage model for those applications throughout your company. So as we move forward, I want to kind of walk you through a potential application. And we do this more out of just opening your minds, right? And opening your minds to what is possible. Because ultimately, we believe that the best ideas will not come from us. The best ideas will come from you. You know your businesses, you know your processes, you know what is inefficient, you know what to digitalize, and either you working with us, you working on your own, you working through a partner, will have the best opportunity to really determine what are the best applications to build on the network platform. And so in this particular case, one of the critical issues that we run into all the time, because we work with both hospitals and wholesalers and pharmaceutical companies, is shortages. There are about 100 products always on shortage in the US, and that's really a challenge from an industry perspective of communication. Ultimately, there's a lack of communication, lack of data sharing on an end-to-end basis. As most people know, 50% of the pharmaceutical capacity is not utilized, right? So it's not as if we don't have capacity, but yet at the same time, we have shortages. And so it's an issue where companies don't really share information together very well. And so the way we look at it is that if you can imagine a world in which, from an end-to-end basis, you can actually share that information through the digital platform. We can share information all the way back through the supplier ecosystem and all the way down to the patient and hospital level. And the ability to have the information necessary on a real-time basis, not 3 months, not 2 months, and not at some exorbitant prices, but because you determine you want to share information, we'll enable you to share information on an end-to-end basis about specific products that may be in shortage, that you can get information from the hospitals and pharmacies, and that you can then do better planning. And then you can then share that information up to the CMOs, who can share it up to the suppliers, and to create a common application that enables us to do that. And then what that can do is provide more insights, gain real-time insights onto what is available from a supply perspective, what is available from a CMO production planning perspective, and then what does the actual demand look like. There is absolutely no reason in the world why we can't do that. The technology is now here, the capabilities are now here, it just requires imagination and a will. And it was our imagination together and our will together that got us to where we are today on track and trace. And it is the same imagination and will that will take us for the next 10 years to revolutionize this industry. And we have an opportunity to do that. And so what I'd like to, this is a new screen. I know everybody wants our UI to be updated, but I want to point out some things here in the user interface as we're building up. Our first focus area is to look at all the admin applications. I know many of you have been giving us a lot of feedback on that. And so we're completely redesigning the administration capabilities in this new platform. This is a look at what the screen looks like, right? So you can see that, it's completely pulled together from different applications, different information with charts and graphs and click-through, so that and it's all built on a brand new user interface capabilities as well. Built same thing that Facebook uses called React, and it'll be completely programmable. So you can clicking on a particular cell can do what you want to do, not necessarily what we give you out of the box as well. So, we're still building. We're going to bring you into this process, and we're going to build out more and more applications ourselves, as well as encourage all of you to participate in driving. We have a set of discussions and meetings going on with many of you simultaneously to do that. But so if you think of it, we'll also have an app store. So the app store will let you see, for instance, the apps that are available. So we're building a digital recall application right now. We're currently going through with an FDA pilot that we're going to share with the FDA because, again, recalls is executed at a pathetic level. We should be very disappointed that recalls are done manually. And patients die because of that, right? They're done by paper, phone, fax, and at a tremendous cost. People sending out FedEx messages, FedEx letters, etc. And we have an opportunity, especially in the U.S., to completely revolutionize that. And so we're moving forward. We have the will to go do that. We have created a application. We're working through with a set of customers, a set of pilots, reaching all the way from Pfizer down to CVS, as to how we're going to digitalize the full recall process. We're sharing that information with the FDA, and we're going to put forward a digital recall application for the industry to basically make digital recalls occur in minutes, hours, not 9 months, because patients' lives are at stake here. We're also going to be investing in a cold chain monitoring application so that we can integrate information across the smart supply chain so that we can share information more freely for the cold chain. And again, we don't have to do it in a proprietary manner. We don't have to, everyone can have their own devices, but there's no reason why we can't share information. Inventory monitoring, being able to understand what inventory levels you have at different places and sharing that. Customers have come to us with those capabilities, and we're implementing that as well. So as you go on, these are all applications, secure distribution. We're working on that application as well. Again, built on this platform. They'll all be available in the App Store for you to be able to use. But we don't want you to stop there. We want you to think about, what do you want to put in the App Store? What do you want to have in the App Store that you want to work with your favorite partner on? What do you want TraceLink to put in the App Store for you? That's how you have to think. And every time you do that, we have now taken digitalization another major step. And again, remember, when we do that, we're enabling everybody else to participate when they want, how they want. And that's really the vision that we see for ourselves and hopefully with you in the industry. And I want you to reimagine your business being completely digital. And I think that's really what's ahead of us right now. And I want to thank you for your time. So just a few things. Just first bookkeeping, and then I'd like to introduce Alessandro, who himself is a significant visionary in our industry. So TraceLink Digital Network Platform will be launched at FutureLink Nashville, where we will basically walk through. We'll have sessions for partners, for customers on our full development platform, our TraceLink development environment, what we term as our experience development environment, and the ability for you to start engaging with us henceforth on the journey. We'll have some earlier previews before that to get started, but we'd like to make it another collaboration to kind of work together where we not only talk about business processes and IT, but also strategic initiatives that you want to take, and then march down this journey together. So I encourage all of you. I know Nashville is a bit far for Europe, but it's also a great place to go. We'll have a lot of fun there as well, as we always do. And we hope that many of you can make it, because as you know, the supply chain is global. Many of you work in the US, many of you work globally, and we think it'll be a fantastic opportunity for all of you to be there. So I'd like to introduce Alessandro De Luca. So Alessandro he's very unique as an individual. I've gotten to know him a little bit more recently, but Alessandro, has a rare combination of both supply chain and IT. He spent 20 years at Procter & Gamble, on innovation, manufacturing, engineering, and supply chain management. And obviously, as we all know, Procter & Gamble has been at the forefront of innovation and in really revolutionizing the supply chain. As Roddy always tells me, the moment of truth of when the customer purchases the products was basically invented there, and the ability to track that and revolutionize the supply chain all the way back to manufacturing from that moment of truth was all that Alessandro worked on. Since then, he joined Merck, the real Merck, as they would like to say, in Germany. And again, in that role, he's now CIO, so he gives him a leg up on getting done what he wants for the business. And he has been leading the digital revolution at Merck. And I think you'll find it very exciting and fascinating to hear what he's been doing at Merck. So please welcome Alessandro.